Hey guys, I just kind of thought I'd make a quick video on building your own rifles and share a little bit of my experience. And I just, don't want to toot my own horn in this. I just kind of wanted to share my experience with the hopes that it might give some of you guys the confidence to do it yourself. And to give you a little history on it, I've kind of been reloading my own ammo since I was, 17 or 18. And I've always been kind of addicted to accuracy like a lot of you guys, and never really pursued it heavily, I guess, until about the last 7 or 8 years, just kind of the way life is. I had other hobbies and work and responsibilities there and stuff, but I've always been a mechanical guy. I'm kind of a mechanic by hobby, and I'm a contractor and carpenter by trade. And so I just wanted to kind of target this for you guys that are intermediate, maybe new and intermediate shooters. Jim Waddell, I know that sounds like you're a pretty experienced guy in both shooting, loading, and maybe building your own rifles too. But for anybody that kind of wants to get into it or looking at the semi-custom rifles or something, the topic of which rifle is best and what caliber and cartridge and stuff has been best, it's come up a lot. And so I kind of wanted to make this for you guys. And so if you guys have any mechanical ability at all, I would say go for it. I mean, if you can change the string in a line trim or a weed eater, you guys can do this. If you can do basic math and understand, micrometers and the thousandth of an inch and why it matters and stuff, you guys can do this. My personal experience is I was working for a gunsmith for about 3 years, and he's kind of an old school guy. He's really good in his field, but when it came to accuracy, he just never quite came to what the modern standards are and today's industry standard, I guess. And by that I mean things like blueprinting a Remington 700 action. He thought it was a waste of time, and so he would maybe dress off the face of it real quick if it had machine marks in it. But as far as like truing up the bolt raceway, the lug abutments and stuff like that, he would never do that, and he thought it was a waste of time, and so for him, accuracy was 1 inch. And so if he built a gun and he grabbed a box of ammo off the shelf and it shot 1 inch, it was good enough. Out the door it went, and so for him and his customers that was fine. But I was after that knowledge where you could repeatedly build a rifle that shot little itty bitty groups, and I was seeing these guys building rifles that would shoot it and guys shooting that, but I could never figure out how to do it or how to get a hold of a rifle like that, and I'm not made of money, so I can't just spend thousands on rifle after rifle after rifle, to figure it out or find that one that does shoot like that, because there's so many garage gunsmiths out there that say they can, but they can't deliver on it, and so I've always been a do-it-yourselfer because I just don't trust a lot of people when it comes to that much money. I want guaranteed results, and so if it doesn't work out, I have nobody to blame but myself, And so I finally quit this guy, and it was just kind of a God thing that like 2 months before I quit, Unknown Munitions came on the scene, and I took their reloading class, and I gained so much knowledge in that area because I would call myself a reloader up until that point, and then after that I had the knowledge to be a custom hand loader, and you're really customizing your ammo to that specific rifle to get the best out of it, And then like 3 months later is when I quit, middle of January, and again, a God thing. I mean, the night before I quit, and I kind of quit hastily. The guy ticked me off, and so I just left. But I found Gordy Gritters the night before, and it was late at night. I found him. I glanced at his website, and it was like, this guy might actually have the knowledge I'm looking for, And so the next day, the guy takes me off. I quit. I go home. I look more into Gordy Gritters, and I was pretty excited about it. So I took his class. I went down there and spent 10 days with him, learning how to truly build an accurate rifle, and then another 4 or 5 days after that to build an accurate AR, because he does that too. But so I come back like 3 days before I quit. Again, another God timing thing. This guy walks in the shop and he says, "Hey, I got a lathe for sale." and I knew the guy, and so I went and looked at it, and I ended up buying 2 lathes off the guy, and so I took all the goodies and the better lathe, and I kept it, and I sold the other one, and so and like a month before I quit, another gunsmith in Missoula died and had a mill, and so I wound up with that mill, so I basically had a functioning shop right there. And so I get back from Gordy's, and I'd been saving a Remington 700 in 7 mag for a guy until I got back so I could finish it, in Gordy's fashion. So I finished that rifle, I put it back together, and I had some Federal premium ammo, and just to go put it on paper and kind of get a basic accuracy analysis, the first 3 shots out of it were like, a quarter of an inch, a 3-shot clover leaf, cold bore, clean barrel. First 3 shots were a perfect little clover leaf, And before that, I'd always struggled to get down around an inch, maybe 3/4, but I could never do it consistently. And I had 2 things going against me. One of it was ammo, and the other was the rifle. The technique that I was using that I had been shown in that gun shop wasn't adequate for consistent tiny little groups. And the other part of it was obviously the ammo. I wasn't building the best ammo possible. I didn't have the knowledge, and I didn't have the gear for it either, so I've upgraded some of my equipment. And now if I build a rifle and I shoot kind of a basic load and it doesn't shoot 3/4 of an inch to start with, then I know I'm either something's wrong with the rifle, or I need to look elsewhere in the ammo, and it's usually in the ammo. And so now getting a rifle to shoot, and I've done almost all Remington 700s, a few clones, and I don't know, a couple of antis, I guess, the Defiance they are, a couple Stillers and stuff, but mostly Remington 700s. Probably 95% of what I've done has been the Remington 700. So, but anyway, you true one of those up, and if they don't shoot, 1/2 inch or smaller by the time I'm done for a hunting rifle, then there's something that I got to go look at in either the rifle or more attention to the ammo, And so I say that to say that, I'm nobody special. I paid for that learning curve to go see Gordy. If you have any mechanical ability, the one thing I would say is you need to have maybe a little bit of OCD and attention to detail, because your accuracy is in the details. We're talking machining down to the 10,000th and as close to 0 as you can possibly get, and putting the gun together as stress-free as you can get. And so your accuracy, that last bit of accuracy, is in the details, and there's no detail too small that if you overlook it, it costs you accuracy. And so I say all that just to say that if I can do it, you guys can do it too. And all that being said, now that it comes down to like the semi-custom rifles, because there's a bunch of them now, Christensen, Proof is making rifles, Nosler, Fierce, there's a bunch of them, Seekins. And a friend of mine was actually, up until just about now, a Fierce dealer, and he's had a bad run of Fierces that were either just terrible quality rifles or they wouldn't shoot, or both. And so I just went through one for one of his customers that he had bought the rifle and it wouldn't shoot, 300 PRC. He's doing everything right as far as I can tell so far. We haven't got too far into it, but I went through the rifle, and the rifle really, for a $2,800 rifle, is no better than like a Remington 700 long range. The lugs on the bolt weren't touching. The bottom lug was touching, the top wasn't. There wasn't even any bluing missing, so it was not touching. And he said it shot and then it just quit shooting. And so just kind of a quick prognosis, I lapped the lugs, got them touching evenly. I checked out the barrel, the throat, the crown looks good. I didn't slug the barrel. The barrel was dirty. I didn't clean it. I told him he needed to clean it with a copper remover. He's shooting ADG brass, and I don't know what his loading process is yet, but if it shot and then stopped shooting, something's going wrong. So again, I bedded the rifle, and he called me yesterday and said it's still not shooting. So I need to talk to him a little bit more in detail about his loading process. But it's one of those things that ammo is as important as the quality of the rifle. You can have the world's most accurate rifle, and if you're not doing the right things for the ammo, it's not going to shoot. And ammo and rifles too. There's so much BS on the internet, and people want to act like it's this black magic, dark art kind of thing, but it's not. It's just details. And so there's so much misinformation out there, and some of this stuff is like 50-year-old information that people just keep repeating and repeating, and they parrot it over and over because they've read it so many times they assume it must be right or something, but this class that Gordy puts on, this stuff is stuff that he's either figured out on his own or is kind of common knowledge in a certain circle, and he comes from the F-class shooters and bench rest and all that, and he's set records, and his rifles have set records, so he's got the credentials to back up his techniques, and so in the industry, this way of doing it has kind of become the industry standard, and I'm not saying Gordy's is the only way, but that technique in theory has kind of become the industry standard, but it's not a dark art. It's really not that special. I mean, anybody with any mechanical ability can screw a barrel onto an action, and as long as you just do everything right, keep your tolerances tight, you can build an outstanding rifle one at a time. I think where a lot of these guys mess up, like Fierce and whatnot, is they get too big, and so you start mass producing this and your quality slips, so a lot of things, they start out great, but then once you start mass producing them, their quality slips. But I'm just a guy. I'm just a handy guy. I'm a contractor and do a little bit of everything, and if I can do it, you guys can do it. And so I can't recommend Gordy enough. I mean, if you can't afford his classes, get his videos. He's got a set of videos out. I'll see if I can put a link in the description of this video, but if not, Gavin, the Ultimate Reloader, he does several videos on Gordy, and he's got links there too. But Gavin took his class. He builds a great shooting rifle. Again, I took his class, and my accuracy is leaps and bounds over what it was, just because my technique was off. And before Gordy's class, I was using a lot of Lilja barrels, and still I couldn't get beyond that 1 inch, 3/4 inch group, and I was starting to doubt the barrels themselves, like the quality had slipped or something, but take Gordy's class, I come back, the very first rifle I finished, Lilja barrel, clover leaf 1/4 inch group, and so that restored my faith in Lilja barrels and pointed out exactly what was wrong and what I was doing, and so now, like I said, I mean, if a rifle doesn't shoot, 3/4 of an inch to start with, I know something is wrong, or to continue on that trial and error, process of elimination with the ammo. And so that's where your accuracy lies, is with the ammo. Sometimes you get lucky and they just flat shoot right out the gate, but a lot of times, you have to go through that load development and the process of elimination until you can eliminate what doesn't work and chase that trail of what does work, and get the best ammo and the best groups, So again, guys, if I can do it, you guys can do it. It's going to see Gordy, you're paying for that learning curve, and like Unknown Munitions puts on a reloading class, and I can't say enough. I mean, buy the learning curve, guys. Skip all the BS and the trials and the errors and the wasting of components and all that money and time. Buy the learning curve from some of these guys that have done it, and go straight to success. And if you guys are serious about it, take Jake's reloading class and learn how to build a rifle from Gordy, and you guys will be years ahead of some of these guys, like myself, that we had to learn a lot of this the hard way because we started our journey before the internet was even a thing. And so nowadays the internet is such a tool, if you use it right, that it's a no-brainer. I mean, there's so much information out there. You just have to be careful what you choose to believe and what you don't, and so if you can find somebody with credentials like Gordy and go straight to success with a guy like that, it's priceless. And so it's really satisfying too. If you guys have ever built anything and used it, tied flies and caught fish on them, loaded your own ammo and shot game with them, or shot targets or something, it is that much more satisfying to build a rifle and then go use it, or build your buddies' rifles and they go use it and they're happy with it. So again, if I can do it, you guys can do it. So I hope this helps, and good luck on your adventure.